So after playing around with my band, with other bands, as a freelancer, as a musician, as a drummer and a percussionist for 5-6 years in Mumbai, doing nearly 100 shows, I moved to Italy for my masters. And when I went there, one of the things which I really wanted to explore was busking. For the people who don't know busking is basically the activity of you sitting in public places and performing music for random people, strangers basically. Maybe you have already seen it in a video, or maybe you have seen it in real if you have happened to visit other countries. But this is something which is not usual in India. Busking is not usual. We do have a great heritage of folk art where people go on street, do street performances, have been traveling cities and towns, but we do not have the similar culture of busking where you just get up, take your guitar, sit somewhere in Mumbai maybe, and put your hat in front of you, start performing, and people pay you for that, and people just enjoy and gather together. That's not as much usual as the folk part of it. But busking is not common, and you will be heavily judged if you keep a hat in front of you while you perform. So that culture is not here yet, and I was just excited to understand how does it feel to be on a street and perform to strangers and see the reactions and all those things. And that's why when I was in Italy, in Milan, I did busk. I did perform on street for I think more than 22 times. Those were a number of gigs which I did. I was playing cajon, which is like a box-like instrument where you sit and start playing. I was to sing on a backing track while I play the cajon. So there was a really fun activity, and I was doing English, Marathi, Hindi songs. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk about the practice of doing irrespective of the outcomes. And I'm going to share some of the experiences which I had on the streets of Milan in Italy. And I hope it will be interesting for you. So let's just get into it.
Your afternoon caffeine with Dailysh Pod is here. A creative podcast to refuel your day. Presenting your host, Suyog, also known as the Fun Indian Guy.
As much as fun and nice it looks and interesting it looks, there are a lot of behind the scene activities which go on in this particular busking thing. So I'll just break down my experience for you. So what I used to do is first of all, there was some bureaucracy which we had to do, get licensed to play on the street and everything, and book the slot where you were supposed to perform. Once that's done, I used to pack everything. So I had a small trolley like a thing, and keep my cajon, a heavy speaker on it, mic stand, microphones, and other small percussion stuff. I used to carry in a backpack and the trolley. Then I used to take that from our first story, like we used to stay on the first floor, and I used to carry that down. We did not have a lift in that building. Then I used to walk till the tram stop, and then I used to wait for the tram. Then tram used to come. Then I had to lift it everything up on the stairs, like those higher stairs of the tram. Then stand with my gear because I couldn't take the seat as my gear couldn't fit there. So I had to stand behind or in the front with the stuff. Sometimes the tram used to be very crowded, so it was to get a bit messy. And then I used to get down at the spot where I was supposed to perform. So again, picking the stuff, getting out, and then walking to my spot where I had booked my particular slot for performance, and then set my stuff off with put the speakers on, put the cables, keep the hat and everything, and just arrange everything, and then perform straight for 2 hours and then stop. And the performance is the whole another game altogether. But after the performance, then again pack stuff, put everything in box, put it in a trolley, put those elastic kind of things so it won't fall, because there were circumstances where it did fail, or I also fell down on the street. But anyway, then take it back to the tram stop, to carry it back, and then again first story, so go on the first floor, and that's gonna be the end of the whole sequence. So a lot of behind the scene things go, and it's not as easy, but the whole fact was enjoying the process. And I was really enjoying the whole thing, even the whole process of setting up and then packing up and going back. That was also very interesting for me, and it was part of that package. In those 2 hours, there were a lot of different things I got exposed to. So there were times when I was just playing to nobody because I picked a wrong timing, or maybe I picked a wrong venue because I didn't know much about it, so I was exploring by myself. But there were times where I was just playing alone. There were times there was this one person standing in front of me. There were times where a lot of my university friends showed up. So there were 40, 50 people in front of me enjoying the gig at a really nice venue. And there were also times where people got emotional. People cried when I was singing, and they didn't pay me, but they just came and hugged me, and then it was just so beautiful. And one more instance which I remember was I was playing behind the Duomo. So Duomo is that really big church from Milan. You must have seen the picture for sure. It's very iconic. And I was playing in one of the lanes behind it. And usual day, not so much of traffic, not many people are stopping by. And I was just playing. And then there was this one school trip which was happening for special kids. So there was a bunch of like 20, 25 kids with the teachers, and they're just going in front of me, like they're passing by in front of me. But because I was playing some nice up-tempo songs, some Hindi songs, which was new for them to listen to, everybody just stopped and they just gathered around me. And then for next 1 hour, they're just dancing on what I was playing. They were just jumping around, and we had such a nice time that in the end, even the teacher wanted a big group picture with everybody, and it was just so beautiful. Those are also some of the experiences which I had, which were quite interesting. So the experiences of playing and seeing the reactions were always different, always good or bad, depending also on the weather. If it's too windy, people never used to stop, which I learned on the job. It wasn't a job per se, but I learned while I was playing. And I did not have to earn something quickly out of it, because it was just a fun activity which I wanted to do while I was doing my masters. So still I ended up gathering some good amount of money out of it, but it was just interesting thing. But my whole point of telling you this is, one, I just wanted to share some nice things which happened there, and two, yeah, it's about the process and not about the outcome. And in order for you to keep doing this, to take those efforts and even play in front, and just keep your shyness away, keep your shame away. Like if you feel shameful because there's nobody, you just have to keep everything aside and just focus on the process. Just do it. And try to have fun in the process. So that was the key learning out of it. And it doesn't even stop there, right? One of the main videos on my channel, which was the highest watched video, which is right now unlisted for certain reasons, was my street performance in Milan, where I was playing Marathi song. And on that as well, even after so many years, I still used to get comments about like, how can you go in a different country and beg for money? So those are also some outcomes of the particular instance, and you have to really ignore them, because you had some beautiful memories. You also have some tough memories, and these comments also remind you of some weird stuff, because these people who comment, they might not have the whole context, or they don't actually have the whole context of what is the culture and how the busking is treated, because it's a respected thing there, where you walk as a street musician, people respect you and recognize you. It's not something which is considered as baking. So that is also a different flavor of reactions. So we don't have to think about the reactions, even if they're good or bad. If you just focus on the process, it just gets fun. And if you focus on the process, then only you will be able to do it multiple times. Otherwise, maybe I would have done it for 2-3 times, and then just have to carry such heavy stuff, I would have just dropped it there. Or maybe because one day there was nobody in front of me, I would have dropped it there. But I tried my best to stick to it and just enjoy. And it gave me a lot of good experiences because of it. But I was not actively looking for them. That's why they always feel good, no matter how good or how bad they are. To kind of conclude this episode on a good note, my last performance on street, I'll talk about that for a second. So it was not supposed to be the last one. I did not decide that I'll stop, but after that somehow the exams came, and then usually in winter you don't perform because nobody stops, because too cold, nobody wants to stand and enjoy. Usually in summer everybody wants to stop and enjoy the street music or whatever street performance. That particular performance happened to be my last one because the winter started and exams started. I had called my friends, a couple of friends, to just watch because I was playing right in front of the Duomo, one of the prime spots, because you have a lot of tourists in front of you as well, a lot of amazing Italian cafes behind me. So it's a nice venue, and it was a sundowner. So basically, around evening time after sunset, even they lit up the whole church, so it just looks very beautiful. And my friends joined me there, and I was performing. And it so happened that I don't know how, but about 20, 30 friends of mine came, and then they sat down in front of me while I was performing. And it's not very usual to sit down, but it then kind of felt like a private show or a gig per se. But other people which were around the square, they did not know that these guys were my friend. So they also joined. So we ended up having like 50, 60 people sitting there. And on one of the Hindi song, which is Masakkali, where everybody just jumps and my friends recognize it. Even my European friends recognize it because they just love the song. They started dancing and all. So we created this small gig atmosphere right in front of the Duomo. And that was one of the best performances of mine. I really enjoyed because it was like known faces plus unknown faces. And everybody just having a lot of good time. And that also happened to be later my last street gig in Milan. So I have that nice memory of it. But it could happen because I believed in the process. Because earlier it was tough, to be honest. And I could have easily dropped it. But I was just trying to enjoy the whole thing. Anyway, I through this experience just wanted to share. It's not like I have done something great, nothing great, and maybe also I prematurely dropped it. I could have done hundreds of them, so that could be also one side of it. But I had fair share of it, and I'm very happy and content with what I have done with that particular busking experience in my life. Just wanted to share it with you. Maybe you find some sort of a little spark here and there, so you could also do something about it in your life. And that's the whole goal. It's just to cheer you up, just tell you a story which is actually which actually is a real story. With that said, guys, thank you so much for staying till the end. Thank you so much for listening to this particular episode. It means super duper a lot, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.
If you like what we do, then make sure to follow Dailyish Pod wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as on Instagram. For more visual experience, do subscribe to the Fun Indian Guy YouTube channel. Until next time, have fun.